死なないために死ぬほど準備することなんて絵にひねやらたことでしょう。光栄だけど買いかぶりっすよ。
Hello guys, it's me Simo Urahara, and in this video we will talk about Kyoraku's Bankai in light of one of Kubo's last answers regarding this amazing Bankai, which I honestly find one of the most complex Bankai in terms of symbolism. First of all, before we talk about this Bankai in detail, I must say that Kyoraku's Bankai, or let's say Kyoraku's Zanpakuto Katenkyukatsu, is one of the rarest Zanpakutos in Bleach, which has several characteristics that are found only in a few Zanpakuto. And the first of these characteristics is that Kyoraku's Zanpakuto is a female, and I previously made a special video about this issue and I said I admire all the Shinigami characters who are male Shinigami and have a female Zanpakuto, such as Kisuke and Benehime, Asashiro Soya and Uruzakuru, Zaraki and Nozarashi. Secondly, Ohana is the only Zanpakuto in the story from whom she had another Zanpakuto, Okyu, and I previously made a video about this issue in which I presented my own theory about the possibility that Kyoraku actually had a sexual relationship with Ohana and they had Okyu. And I must say that the same situation exists with Zaraki, but I'm not saying Zaraki had something with Nozarashi, but Nozarashi, the adult woman, formed a part of her to exist outside her inner world, which is Yachiro, and this latter transformed into the form of a Bankai, but I'm not completely sure about this issue and I'll wait for the anime to talk about this point. But regardless of how Okyu came, Ohana's relationship with Kyoraku is so special that we saw her embodiment in the Bankai mode, and rarely when we have seen this case in the manga. We only saw this with Zaraki and Little Yachiro, as well as Uruzakuru and Asashiro Soya in the novel. All these incarnations don't appear to the opponent, unlike for example Urahara's Bankai or Mayuri's Bankai. And this is from one side. On the other side, the full name of Kyoraku's Bankai is Katenkyukatsu Karamatsu Shinju. What aroused me about the name of Kyoraku's Bankai is the word Shinju. When you do a quick search for the word Shinju in Japanese culture, you will find that its literal meaning is double suicide. The term is often used in Japanese theater and traditional literature to denote the suicide of two lovers together, so that the Japanese were famous from embodying Shinju stories through the puppet theater. Of course, an obvious question may arise: why did two lovers even commit suicide together, as long as they love each other? The answer is that they do that because the two lovers cannot be together for some reason. Therefore, they agree to kill themselves together in this life, thinking that you will be together in the next life. The story of Shinju is usually tragic and sad, because the subject of the story is about the reasons why the two persons cannot be together and how they will kill themselves. And there is a famous movie that embodied this concept called Double Suicide, released in 1969, and it's based on a play that was released in 1724. Alright, why did I say all this? Because Kyoraku's Bankai embodies these sad, dark meanings. In fact, Kyoraku's description to his Bankai is a powerful description. When I watched that movie and read about the concept of Shinju, I have found that Kyoraku's Bankai revolves around this concept. I saw many trying to combine the 4 chapters of the Bankai in the form of one story, and this may be true. It may be that Kyoraku's Bankai is a play from one story, or it may be a play with chapters separated and each chapter may have its own story, but at the same time these chapters interconnected with a common concept, which is that the characters in the play will end up dying, or vow to die together. And this is the basis of Shinju. For example, Ohana said to Kyoraku in this scene that they swore to die together. And if we looked at the 4 acts of the Bankai, we'll see that in the name of the first act is Sharing Wounds. If you notice, Kyoraku sometimes gives Lilibaro a glimpse into the story of that act, and the meanings of that act would apply either on the opponent of Kyoraku or both. For example, when we talk about sharing wounds, it is symbolic that the two lovers who swear to perform Shinju share the wounds of not being able to live together in this life. So Kyoraku told Lily that even after sharing wounds, neither of them will die, and this is from the symbolic side of the first act. In terms of abilities, the shared wounds means that wherever wounds both sides suffered will be reversed. Therefore, Kyoraku considered the first chapter to be just a prologue to the play. In the second act of the Bankai, the story is transmitted to a man who injured his opponent and felt shame for doing so, and thus he got a terminal illness. And the story of this act reminds me of one of the scenes that I have seen in the movie of Double Suicide. So that there is a scene of the hero of the story whose name is Hiji was trying to kill one of the samurais who was gonna sleep with a prostitute that Hiji loved, and her name is Horiko, and wanted to apply Shinjo with her. But at the end, the samurai turned out to be his brother, and that he just wanted to play that role to show his brother that this prostitute was just wanted to play with him. When Hiji knew and saw this, Hiji felt so sad and shameful because he was about to kill his brother and knew the truth about the woman he loved. Of course, that wasn't the full truth, and later in the movie we'll discover another truth. I don't think Kubo had taken something from that movie for the second act of Kyoraku's Bankai, but when I have watched that scene, I remembered the story of the second act. However, in Kyoraku's Bankai second act, the two characters of the story will eventually die. One from the shame because he made an injury to his opponent, and the opponent will die from that injury because the first man wouldn't have felt shame if he had not caused a fatal injury to his opponent. And in this second act, Kyoraku told the story to Lilibaro, in which Lilibaro appeared as the man who will feel shame and therefore sickness because he injured his opponent, and Lilibaro's opponent is Kyoraku. Here Kyoraku continues the conversation, moving to the third act, so that it seemed as he was completing the story of the second act, so that the two characters accepted their fate that they will die, wherever the one who got sick or the one who was wounded by his opponent, and therefore decided to throw themselves to the bottom of the ocean until their ryatsu ran out. And by the way, even in reality, the lovers who submit Shinjo, some of them resort to throwing themselves in the ocean. And here we come to the most important point in this topic, related to the third act of Kyoraku's Bankai. So Kubo commented on this act based on a fan question. The fan question was as follows. In short, this fan says if the opponent accepts his fate and does not want to go to the surface, is he must not to die until the entire acts of the play are completed, or what? Kubo said that this is not a condition, but if the opponent dies in any chapters of the play, the participant will be considered non-existent, and therefore the play ends in the chapter in which he died. And this confirms that Kyoraku does not have to present the entirety of the play's acts, but rather it is sufficient to present 2 chapters, for example, and if the opponents die in one of them, the play will be over. So in front of Lilibaro, Kyoraku used all the acts to make sure to kill him. As for the final act, it has the same theme of the previous act. For example, in the second act, Kyoraku tells the story, and what happened in that story, it applied on Lilibaro. The same thing it happens in the final act. Lilibaro is the character who felt regret, maybe for not being able to make his relationship with his lover succeed. That's why he would either kill himself with the thread of regret or the woman who would do that. Of course, since Kyoraku is the director and narrator of the story, at the same time, he has the ability to change the roles of the characters and how they will act. So guys, tell me your opinion about the Bankai of Kyoraku in general, and what do you think of Kubo's answer, and see you guys in my next video.